Today on r/today I effed up. Today I effed by waiting 12 hours to tell my girlfriend about a positive STD test. My girlfriend, 38 female, we'll call her Jill, and I, 37 male, have been together for a year and 2 months now. 8 months of that time we spent living 1,500 miles apart. I was away for training for work, and away from all my family and friends and my lady. I was incredibly homesick by the time I finally made it back home in June 2024, and super excited to see my family, friends, and find some normalcy with my relationship with Jill. A string of uncontrollable events start to occur out of nowhere. Random tire blowout, get rear-ended with Jill in the car, and a random letter from Vitalent, a blood donation facility, letting me know I tested positive for HCV antibodies. Talk about a blow to the gut. Some background: I am very conscious of my health and, most importantly, anyone I date or have intimate relations with. I have been donating blood and plasma for 20 years with the understanding that my blood is always getting tested for many different diseases and STDs before being shipped off to help someone. I enjoy donating blood and plasma, and I have never taken a single penny for doing so. I take pride in giving because I know I can directly help someone. So knowing that my blood is always being tested, at least a time or two a year, I knew confidently that I am clean and not infected with any STDs, and that my safe, intimate practice was keeping myself and others healthy. Oh, and I have never once used a needle for drugs or taken any hard drugs in my life. Weed and psilocybin are the wildest things I've done. Opening this letter was an absolute shock. I even got lightheaded. How could I, after being so careful, all of a sudden have HCV? I initially didn't realize what I was reading, and that it was negative for the actual virus and positive for antibodies. To add to this, Jill is sitting downstairs with my stepmother, and her and I are late to my mother's birthday lunch. I had only seen my mother one time before this birthday dinner, so before opening the letter, I was excited to see her and celebrate her. To add to it, my little brother's birthday dinner was literally a few hours after the lunch. He's turning 18, huge day for him, and I am so pumped to see him grow up. Two of the most important people in my life on their most important days, who I am celebrating with the most important woman to me. Jill and I may have either been infected by her at some point, or I infected her. My brain is swirling with what to do next. Do I tell her right now and risk being late to my mom's birthday? Do I just wait until after? WTF? I have an STD. I couldn't stop the thoughts, and I just made the decision to take the letter with me and get to the lunch with Jill so we aren't late. In the back of my head all day I'm telling myself I need to tell Jill, but I'm also thinking, don't do it today, celebrate bro and mom and tell her in the morning. So that's what I did, just stuffed it down and celebrated everyone. I got to see a bunch of my family that I haven't seen for almost a year at 2 different occasions in the same day. It was weird but amazing at the same time. Jill enjoyed herself and got to see parts of my family that I'd been wanting her to meet for a while. Bittersweet. The next morning, Jill and I are out getting coffee, and I break the news to her and show her the letter. She immediately thinks I've been cheating on her and blames me for lying through omission. I have never heard that phrase in my life, so I really didn't understand what she meant. But I knew she was going to be upset, and I was going to sit in it with her because that's what I have to do. We had already had a crappy week dealing with insurance companies, attorneys, and healthcare. We got rear-ended, hard, a week prior, so we were both not sleeping our best, not exercising, and just frustrated with that situation. Now this. We both agreed that we aren't going to talk about this with anyone until we know for sure. To keep a really long story as short as possible, we got a blood test done, and we both tested negative for all STDs and antibodies. The HCV antibody test was a false positive, thank God. I helped her understand that I did not cheat, and I trust that she hasn't cheated on me. We are faithful to each other and mature about being in a relationship. But she is still upset about me, lying by omission because I didn't tell her right away, and let her decide how that day should have gone. I admit that I could have absolutely handled that better, but seeing that I had an STD, the birthday's happening that day, and not wanting to let anyone down by being late, but also knowing I need to tell her, I made a decision in the moment, and went with it. Jill and I are sitting down having a beer with her roommate, and she brings up the blood test in front of her. I immediately ask, she knows? This kind of hurt for me because we hadn't actually had a conversation about the whole thing to kind of bury the hatchet. So I got pretty upset that she broke our promise to not talk to anyone about it. It was frustrating, but I let her know I felt, and we talked, and I was better. This all went down about a month ago, and today I find out she has been harboring feelings of lost trust and connection due to my lying by omission. I'm beside myself and just have no idea how to approach this. I can see from her side of the story why it's a big deal, because her first marriage ended due to her ex-husband cheating on her and lying about it for a long time. I feel terrible for stirring up those feelings in her and making her think I would do the same thing. The reality is I was just trying to do what was best for everyone, and clearly I effed up. I honestly feel like this is something we can overcome, but I also feel like she is giving up or maybe even entertaining other men, who knows. I'm just upset because we have had such a great time together up to this point, and it feels like this isn't something that should break us. Other than this false positive test, I have been upfront in communicating about everything that she needed to know right away. For our next story. Today I effed by accidentally making myself colorblind. So yesterday I went surfing for the day with my brother. Got up early and basically spent the entire day on the water, 8 hours total. Around the 4-hour mark it started to get red when I blinked, which I have experienced before, so I brushed it off as normal. An hour or two later, everything that was normally black or a very dark color started to appear as red or maroon, which I haven't experienced before. By the time I left the water, all the rocks on the beach were ruby red. Looked totally insane, and I knew I overdid the day but figured I'd sleep it off. Here's where things get weird. My brother and I get back to camp and he started a fire. It was Monster Energy green. I totally panicked, realizing I actually fried my eyes, and tried to sleep it off. Wake up the next morning, no difference. So here I am, over 24 hours later, and this is where I'm at. Black is now maroon. Pure white is Monster green. Red and yellow are both different shades of orange, and Minecraft Diamond Teal is just straight up gray. Feeling quite depressed and hoping my vision returns, but not feeling too hopeful. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Edit. Heading to the hospital, appreciate the comments. Update. I have burnt corneas. Eye doctor said very likely not permanent damage and should correct itself within 3 to 4 weeks. No direct sun exposure in the meantime, so it's looking like a shaded summer for me. Appreciate the comments and kind messages for keeping me busy during the 12-hour ER visit. Update 2. Had my first good sleep since the incident, starting to see some improvements. Teal is coming back a bit. Only significant impact currently is red through yellow, all appearing the same. White's still a bit green. Our last story for today. Today I effed up by eating 2,000 calories worth of tortilla chips not 1 but 2 days in a row. A year ago I began to try exercise and watching what I eat, mainly calories. Having realized I was pretty overweight during high school, 175 pounds at 5'8". Having a shitload of free time as a dude in my early 20s, this should be an important habit to form before life actually hits me, as my older co-workers put it. I've now reached a healthy weight range, 140 pounds, and I'm now experimenting. Last Friday, August 23, 2024, for you folks from the future, I bought a 0.9-pound bag of tortilla chips from my local supermarket, Fresh by Brookshire, a location in northern Texas. They were called House-Made Hatch Tortilla Chips, clearly store brand, store original. Had a variant called Original. What drew me to these chips, as you can see, were the macros. I've only weighed my food recently and have learned a lot about food, caloric density, the way Western society can encourage it, and slowly gravitated to less calorie-dense foods, not all at once, but gradually. I feel I have a good grasp of the weight and volume of foods, 360 calories for 170 grams of chips. Large, wide chips? That take a long time to chew. That's almost a 2-to-1 ratio, where most Doritos and nachos have a 4-to-1 ratio at best. I could fill a large bowl with these, and a smaller bowl can get up to 80 grams, 170. That in addition to okay protein and high fiber, I can snack and get something out of it. It sounded too good to be true. It was. As snacks on Friday, I ate a total of 250 grams, half the bag guano. Should have totaled up to 530 calories. On top of a chicken wrap, potato wedges, and roughly 300 grams of carrots. That night my stomach felt terrible, but I just chalked it up to the amount of fiber I ate that day. Roughly 60. Woke up the next day, August 24th, not feeling particularly hungry until after my walk. Ate a banana. Then finished off that bag of chips, which should have weighed about 404 grams in total, ate about 150, which should have been under 350 calories. Took a ride with my father after the gym. I noticed that despite eating 460 calories up to that point, lifting and 400 calories worth of cardio didn't make me feel that tired or depleted. He noticed I bought the chips and wanted to try some himself. I said 1 pack was fine, but he insisted I get 2, and when I told him the first pack was gone, he said I should get 3. On his credit card. Despite me saying we didn't need 3. Did that. Still didn't feel that hungry until a bit later, ate more carrots. Then the chips. In truth, I only assumed I ate about a bag and a half that day. Maybe more. 700 grams in total that day. That's 1,500 calories of chips. Pretty insane, but hey, I tracked it all. I'm still in a calorie deficit. I only ate small fruits and veggies that day aside from the chips. Worst case scenario, I worked out that day. And one bad day wasn't going to ruin me. They have fiber and protein after all, that's good for you. Then I posted about these chips on a subreddit. Got all sorts of flake, you sweet summer child. Dude, come on. With no elaboration. Until a kind user told me he couldn't find anything about these tortilla chips online, which prompted me to search and have the same realization. Another way to check, another kind user pointed out, the fat, protein, and carb ratio. Essentially 9, 4, and 4 calories a gram each. I did the math already. The label describes a serving of 85 grams of chips, not 170, as 360 calories. The label was off by 100%. My stomach was screaming at me the whole time about this. I assumed it was the fiber. I assumed it was just because I ate a ton of chips, even if they were good chips. I put more stock in a government label than my body. Heck, the government probably doesn't even know about these. Like I said, I can't find anything about these online. They don't exist in any calorie tracking app. Last I checked, not even the Fresh website lists these. In reality, I did not eat 530 calories of tortilla chips on Friday. I did not eat 1,500 grams of tortilla chips on Saturday. I ate 1,000 calories of tortilla chips on Friday, and 3,000 calories of chips on Saturday. Because of an inaccurate label. Edit. Forgot to add this morning, I did report this to corporate office, accidentally saved their number instead of that store. And they're handling it. But I got something to study for, been putting it off too long, honestly. Need to lock in. And those are all the stories we have for today. See you tomorrow.